Good morning. Hopefully the wind will not blow the paper away. As Ram said, my name is Roberta Kidder. I've been a member at St. Luke's for about 6 years. I'm happy to return to St. George because when I last visited for coffee in Compline, I found your church and its people beautiful. What an honor to share this special Sunday with you. I get the wonderful pleasure of speaking to you this morning about finances. In case you didn't know, Episcopalians equate to talking about money like a root canal. I would like to do the exact opposite of what many would do, or many would like me to do, and take this ugly bull by the horns. My son, who attends church about as often as most college kids, came to church with me 3 years ago on Stewardship Sunday. He was not prepared for the sermon and the announcements to be about money, which reaffirmed to him why he attended church only twice a year on Christmas and Easter. I, however, found the weeks leading up to Consecration Sunday uplifting and part of my spiritual renewal, but his reaction was raw and negative. So let's talk about that for a moment. I find it refreshing to talk about difficult topics, and that's my approach to just about everything in life, much to my son's demise. I would also say Christ has sent me to remedial training in the grace department. That Sunday provided a great opportunity for me to explain to my son why I give and why I find the topics about stewardship refreshing. I assume that most people feel rather negative about financial giving because, quite frankly, we've all had those negative stories that make us resent the church. A few of my personal examples: visiting a good old Southern Baptist church and watching the pastor repass the offertory plate around for a second time because we didn't give good enough. Or working in a high-end boutique years ago in Salado, Texas, and having the local minister's wife come shopping each and every Sunday with large amounts of cash in various denominations. How about seeing the mega church pastor buy yet another multi-million-dollar mansion in some suburb? However, the experience that sticks with me the most was watching my very poor parents cry about leaving their home church because they no longer felt welcomed. My parents were military with 4 kids living in a 2-bedroom farmhouse, and they struggled desperately in the 80s to feed and clothe us. They were very proud and refused to take handouts, charity, or be shamed because they didn't have a fancy house or nice things. So imagine their pain when they were lectured by our new priest that they were not giving enough of their money to the church. They financially couldn't give what they wanted, but they could give time and talents. They taught Sunday school, sang in the choir. We were all acolytes. Dad served on the altar guild. My mom cooked and taught logos during Lent. We did yard work for the church, always helped with a canned food drive, etc. But somehow those actions did not make up for their lack of giving. I thought we were prominent members of the church, and I'm sure they did too. This was the church where all 4 of their children were baptized and confirmed. This was their body of Christ. My parents met with the priest for several months, prayed for a sign, but ultimately they left the church. So by now, I'm sure you're wondering, how did these stories fit into giving? It does. Just hang on a few minutes more. All of those experiences did shape the type of giver I was. It may seem odd to you or downright crazy talk to say that thankfully I have had that crucible moment that changed my view about everything and put me on the path to stewardship. I'm not going to say that path was easy, but I'm thankful God was with me for the walk. My daughter Kimmy was killed in 2014 by a drunk driver. And somehow, by the grace of God, I managed to land at St. Luke's. I was broken and alone. And I cannot begin to talk about how broken I was. But that truly is not the point of this blessing. You are, and He is. I thank God every single day for my church. And I'm not talking about the brick and the mortar, but the body of Christ. I'm positive you have it here too. I know you can feel the love when you walk through the doors. Truly, the body of Christ has saved my life. A debt I'm never going to be able to repay, nor a love I will ever fall out of love with. It's something I will never forget. My spiritual giving is because of my relationship with Christ. This church body helped me form that relationship with Christ, and my connection to Him is deeper because of His people. His love for all of us, His love for the church, yes, even with our warts and scars and bruises. It's this body of Christ. I give because it's part of my relationship with Christ. I give because I don't think God ever intended anyone to have a big pile of money. And I give because I know someone can live in an impoverished country and do God's work when I cannot. I give because someone else can work in the nonprofit sector or working for the church making peanuts when my lack of grace just does not allow. I give because I know that this body of Christ can only continue to do what it did for me if the doors of the glorious church are open, doing the work Christ commanded we do. Now, to be perfectly honest, I've not made it to 10% yet, and that's a very hard pill to swallow considering that the federal government gets between 24 and 32% of my income. But this year I'm going to do a 1% increase, and my goal will be someday, very soon, I invest far more into the body of Christ than I pay in taxes. I ask this morning that you pray on what God is calling you to give. I ask you pray about what life experiences have motivated you to give. Truly, this body of Christ has changed my motivation. Thank you.